Listen carefully, because I'm about to dismantle everything you think you know about how women think. You probably believe you've got it figured out. You've watched a few psychology videos, maybe skimmed through some pop science books about the female brain, and now you're convinced you've cracked the code. But here's the hard truth. You haven't. And that's not your fault. The world never actually taught you how female psychology works. It just filled your head with fairy tales and half-truths. From childhood, you were trained by romantic comedies and Disney movies. You were told that women are mysterious, emotional creatures waiting for the perfect man who understands them. That they need to be decoded, like some mystical riddle or ancient text. But in reality, women aren't puzzles. They're patterns. Complex, dynamic, emotional patterns that change depending on environment, hormones, and timing. The problem is, most men are staring so hard at the details that they miss the larger rhythm. Let me start with something simple. You overanalyze everything. Men spend hours dissecting texts, tone, and punctuation. She said okay with a period. Is she mad? Or she used only one emoji instead of three. Did I do something wrong? Meanwhile, she's sitting on her couch eating chips, halfway through a Netflix episode, having completely forgotten she even texted you. You're out here running emotional forensics, trying to read a crime scene that doesn't exist. That's lesson number one. Women are not sitting around decoding your every move. They're not in some secret council analyzing your texts. Most of the time, they're simply reacting to how they feel in that moment. Let me tell you a story. When I was 22, I met this girl at university, beautiful, intelligent, and completely intimidating. I studied her like I was preparing for an exam. I knew her coffee schedule, the books she read on Tuesdays, even which hallway she preferred between classes. Weeks of preparation, a full tactical operation. Finally, I approached her, and guess what? She barely noticed me. Her cat was sick that day. That's all that mattered to her. 2 weeks later, I ran into her at a party, said something completely stupid about how loud the music was, and she laughed. We ended up dating for 2 years. Why? Not because I mastered the perfect approach, but because her emotional weather shifted. She was open that night. It wasn't strategy, it was timing. That's when I realized women's emotional states are like weather systems. Unpredictable, atmospheric, and beyond your control. You can't force the sun to shine, but you can bring an umbrella. Men, however, keep trying to change the weather. They think if they wear the right clothes, say the right words, or make enough money, they can make it sunny all the time. That's not how it works. Her openness, her attraction, her warmth, they fluctuate based on hundreds of invisible variables. Hormones, sleep, diet, work stress, social feedback, even the song playing in the background. You're just one factor in a much larger equation. But here's the twist. Women don't fully understand their own psychology either. Ask a woman why she fell for her boyfriend, and she'll tell you. He's kind, he's funny, he's reliable. Logical answers. But those are stories her mind builds after the emotion. It's not deception, it's human nature. Emotions come first, explanations come later. I call this the retrospective narrative principle. A woman feels something first, attraction, curiosity, disgust, and only afterward constructs the reasons why. She doesn't choose feelings. She explains them after they happen. That's why you can't logic your way into attraction. You can't convince her with spreadsheets of your best qualities. You can't debate her into desire. You could stand there with your PowerPoint, slide 3, excellent hygiene, slide 4, loyal personality, and still lose to a guy who makes her feel something unpredictable and raw. Here's a line that will sting, but it's the truth. Women don't know what they want until they feel it. They make lists, tall, dark, ambitious, sense of humor. Then they fall for the guy who's short, broke, and slightly unhinged, but who made them feel alive. Why? Because what they say they want and what activates them are two entirely different languages. One belongs to logic, the other to instinct. Think of it like this. Ask someone what they'd like to eat when they're not hungry, and they'll give you the moral answer. Salad, grilled chicken, something healthy. But when hunger hits, they'll devour whatever satisfies that craving, even gas station sushi. That's female attraction in a nutshell. Stated preferences mean little. Emotional triggers mean everything. Now, here's where men self-destruct. A woman says she wants a nice guy who treats her well, so you become the nicest man alive. You open every door, bring her flowers, compliment her every day. And what happens? She gets bored. She leaves. Meanwhile, she falls for the guy who shows up late, forgets her birthday, and argues with her over nothing. You stand there thinking, but I did everything right. Yes, and that's the problem. You became predictable. You removed mystery, challenge, and polarity. Let me explain. Women are attracted to men who don't need them. The more you orbit her world, the more your gravity weakens. When you make her the center of your existence, she feels your dependence, and dependence kills attraction. Your attractiveness is inversely proportional to your neediness. It's not cruelty, it's psychology. Desire thrives in space, not suffocation. The moment you become too available, too certain, too emotionally open, the mystery evaporates. And with it, her passion. Think of it like this. The most compelling stories are the ones where you don't know the ending. When a woman knows exactly how you'll react, what you'll say, when you'll text, she loses the emotional tension that keeps attraction alive. Predictability kills curiosity, and curiosity is the heartbeat of desire. Here's another illusion men carry. They think agreement equals attraction. Yes, dear, you're absolutely right. Of course, I support whatever you feel. You think you're being kind, but what you're actually doing is erasing yourself. Women test boundaries, not to be cruel, but to see if you have a backbone. They want to know, can you handle me? If you fail every test by always agreeing you're not being kind, you're signaling weakness. And despite what modern culture says, no woman is drawn to a man who collapses under emotional pressure. The truth is brutal yet liberating. Women want to feel not just happiness, but intensity, unpredictability, contrast. They crave emotional movement. That's why the bad boy phenomenon never dies. He creates emotional volatility, frustration, desire, uncertainty, all the things that make her feel alive. Meanwhile, the nice guy provides safety, but no spark, stability, but no storm. In relationships, comfort without polarity becomes friendship, not passion. So if you've ever wondered why she lost interest even though you did everything right, it's because doing everything right doesn't create emotion. Emotion comes from tension, from the dance between security and unpredictability. And that, my friend, is the first secret to understanding female psychology. It's not logic, it's energy. Let's go deeper. If you've ever tried to have a rational conversation with a woman during an emotional moment, you already know logic doesn't work. You can list facts, present evidence, build your argument like a courtroom lawyer, and still lose. Not because your logic is wrong, but because you're speaking the wrong language. Men communicate to exchange information. Women communicate to exchange emotion. That's not a judgment. It's just biological software. When a man hears a problem, he wants to fix it. When a woman shares a problem, she wants to be felt. You say, just tell your boss you can't work late. She hears, your emotions don't matter, just fix it. You think you're being helpful. She feels dismissed. This is why women often say, you never listen. What they mean is, you didn't make me feel understood. To women, empathy is problem solving. The act of being seen and emotionally mirrored is what resolves the tension. So when she tells you, my coworker made a rude comment, she doesn't want your strategic solution. She wants your emotional presence. A simple, that must have felt awful, does more than 10 logical answers. It's maddening for men because we're wired for action. But once you understand this emotional operating system, you realize she's not being irrational. She's processing. And this brings us to a deeper truth. Women speak in subtext. When she says, it's fine, it might mean it's not fine at all. When she says, do whatever you want, it usually means, I dare you. When she says, we need to talk, it's not about a topic, it's about a feeling that's been building for weeks. Women communicate through tone, timing, and context. The unsaid carries more weight than the said. It's how they evolved to read social dynamics. In groups, women develop hyperattunement, the ability to sense mood, alliance, threat. It's emotional radar. Men, on the other hand, evolved to track targets, not tones. We're visual hunters. They're emotional scanners. That's why she can walk into a room and instantly feel that something's off while you're still trying to find where the sound came from. But let's shift gears for a second to sexual psychology, because this is where male and female wiring diverge the most. Men are like light switches. One spark, attraction activated. Women are like soundboards with 100 sliders. Each knob affects the others. Emotional connection, trust, body image, environment, time of day, even how safe she feels in a room. You can't flip a switch. You have to tune the system. A woman's desire is responsive. It arises in context. A man sees a woman and feels desire immediately. A woman feels desire when her world feels right, when her emotions, safety, and attraction align. That's why she can be crazy about you one day and indifferent the next, even if nothing changed. It's not fickleness, it's responsive biology. Men keep making the mistake of focusing on the physical when what matters is the psychological. You can be objectively attractive, successful, fit, but if your energy makes her feel anxious or unseen, attraction dies. Here's the paradox. When you stop chasing sexual validation, that's when women become curious. When you're centered, calm, focused on your mission, that emotional stillness radiates power. Women are drawn to that emotional gravity. They sense stability. Now let's talk about something that flips male psychology upside down, pre-selection. Women are attracted to men who other women already find attractive. It's not vanity, it's biology. In evolutionary terms, attraction from others signals survival value. Think of it like this. An empty restaurant makes you doubt the food. A packed restaurant makes you curious. Same menu, different perception. When a man is desired, he becomes more desirable. This is why men in relationships suddenly get more female attention. It's not magic. It's visibility combined with social proof. Women subconsciously think, if she chose him, he must be worth something. But this also ties into another deep mechanism, retroactive jealousy. When a woman senses that your attention might be drifting elsewhere, her emotional investment spikes. Scarcity increases value, not because she wants to play games, but because the fear of loss triggers deeper attachment. When you're always available, she takes your presence for granted. When you're busy, focused, and selective, your presence becomes valuable. It's a brutal paradox. The more you chase, the more she retreats. The more you retreat, authentically, not manipulatively, the more she chases. Because in her mind, if you have time to orbit her constantly, you must not be building anything bigger. And women are drawn to men who are building. Now let's talk about something every man misreads: female conflict psychology. Men assume conflict means danger. Women see conflict as connection. To a man, arguing is a sign the relationship is breaking down. To a woman, arguing is emotional engagement. It means she still cares. When she stops fighting, that's when you should worry. This emotional volatility, the push and pull, the highs and lows, it's not random. It's what creates depth. A woman doesn't crave constant peace. She craves emotional aliveness. That's why women can be drawn to men who frustrate them. Not because they like drama, but because emotional friction keeps the bond charged. The same reason people watch tragic movies or listen to sad songs. Emotion equals meaning. Now here's where things get fascinating: the modern confusion. Society tells women to be strong, independent, self-sufficient, and that's good. But their biology still responds to traditional masculine energy: strength, direction, confidence, protection. So they live in contradiction. They say they want sensitivity, openness, emotional sharing. But they feel attraction towards stoicism, leadership, and calm dominance. It's not hypocrisy. It's two systems in conflict: social conditioning versus primal biology. And in that confusion, modern relationships often collapse. Because men start performing sensitivity to please women, only to be quietly rejected for it. Not because kindness is bad, but because performative sensitivity feels weak, and weakness doesn't feel safe. So what does all this mean? It means that understanding women isn't about analyzing them. It's about reading their emotional weather without trying to control it. It's learning to stand steady when the storm comes, instead of begging the sky to stop raining. Because here's the secret nobody told you. She doesn't want a man who fixes her feelings. She wants a man who doesn't flinch when she feels them. That steadiness, that grounded emotional presence, is what makes her trust you, open to you, and stay drawn to you. It's not about dominance or submission. It's about polarity, two energies interacting without collapsing into each other. And when that polarity is alive, attraction becomes effortless. Now, let's enter the deeper layers, the ones nobody dares to talk about out loud. Because beneath all the cultural noise, there's a biological engine running the entire game. Most people never look under the hood. But if you want to truly understand female psychology, this is where everything clicks into place. Let's start with hypergamy, one of the most controversial yet consistent truths in human mating. Women are naturally drawn to men who are either at their level or above it in some form: status, intelligence, emotional strength, or ambition. It's not greed. It's instinct. Evolution wired women to seek the man who could provide stability, safety, and strong genes for her offspring. A female CEO may say she wants an equal partner, but she rarely feels attraction for the intern who adores her. It's not about arrogance. It's about biology seeking upward mobility. This is why successful women often struggle romantically. They've climbed high, but their pool of men above them has shrunk. The men who remain are fewer, busier, and often already taken. Meanwhile, the men they overlook could love them deeply, but attraction doesn't respond to fairness. It responds to hierarchy. And on the other side of that equation lies timing. At 23, a woman holds more power in the sexual marketplace than she may ever realize. Youth, vitality, and beauty make her options nearly limitless. At 35, after chasing careers, validation, and excitement, the game changes. Her value doesn't vanish, but the currency shifts. Men her age, now established, begin to look downward for what they couldn't access before. It's not cruel. It's nature's uneven timeline. This dynamic creates what I call the great mismatch. Women's romantic peak arrives before they're ready for commitment, and men's peak arrives after they've learned what they want. But here's something far more important than timing: emotional memory. Women don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. You could have the most logical point in an argument, but if you made her feel unseen or belittled, you've already lost. Conversely, you could say something nonsensical, yet if it made her laugh, feel safe, or feel beautiful, you win. This is why women stay with men who are objectively bad choices, because those men make them feel excitement, danger, passion, chaos, emotions that pierce through the numbness of routine. The bad guy may fail at everything except one thing. He triggers emotion, and emotion, to women, is truth. If she feels it, it's real, even if logic says otherwise. Now let's talk about commitment psychology, because it's the most misunderstood battlefield between men and women. Men assume commitment is a demonstration of love. I'm ready to settle down, to choose you. To a woman, however, that eagerness can sometimes feel like desperation. The paradox: the more you want commitment, the less valuable it seems. Why? Because high-value men have options, and options breed selectivity. When you rush to commit, she subconsciously reads it as, he must not have many choices. When you make her earn your commitment, she feels chosen from abundance, not scarcity. This is also why women pursue men who seem emotionally unavailable. It's not masochism. It's the chase for validation from someone who doesn't give easily. It feels like winning a game. Once she wins, the excitement fades, and the cycle repeats. Now, here's a darker aspect: the friend zone phenomenon. Men stuck there often believe patience and loyalty will earn love. But to her, you're not in the queue for promotion. You're in a different department entirely. You're an emotional outlet, a comfort zone that provides attention without tension. She's not malicious. She genuinely values your presence. But she doesn't feel polarity. You've become emotionally safe in a way that kills attraction. If you want to move from friend to man, You can't ask for it. You have to embody it. Withdraw your validation. Reclaim your energy. Let silence speak where words failed. Let's move to something that devastates men after breakups: female memory rewriting. When a woman emotionally detaches, her brain rewrites history. The same moments that once made her heart race become reinterpreted as signs of your flaws. You'll hear her say things like, "I don't think I ever really loved you," and it'll shatter you. But what she means is, "I no longer feel the way I used to, and my brain has adjusted the story to match my new emotions." It's not manipulation. It's self-preservation. Her psychology helps her move on by turning the past into a closed chapter. Meanwhile, men do the opposite. They idealize what was lost. They replay memories, chase closure, try to reopen doors that are now locked. That's the emotional asymmetry of heartbreak. She forgets through rewriting. You remember through reliving. Then comes the maternal shift, another phase men rarely understand. When a woman becomes pregnant or has a child, her psychological universe reorients around survival. You no longer sit at the center, the baby does. It's not rejection, it's biology optimizing for protection. Many relationships crumble because men misinterpret this shift as lack of love, when in reality, her brain has reprioritized to ensure the baby lives. The woman who once needed you to protect her now is the protector. Now, let's look at female competition psychology. Men compete openly: strength, money, success. Women compete covertly: reputation, social alliances, emotional positioning. They won't throw punches, they'll whisper narratives. "That's sweet. Oh, she's really nice" comment? That's often the softest knife in the drawer. This hidden competition starts in childhood and never truly ends. And understanding it helps you see why women care deeply about what their peers think of their partners. Because female psychology is socially wired. If her friends dislike you, she'll eventually feel conflicted about you. If her mother disapproves, your days are numbered. It's not that she's weak-minded. It's that female survival evolved through group belonging. To be cast out from the tribe was death. So social approval remains emotionally tied to safety. Now let's expose another misunderstood concept: security. When women say they want security, men often translate that into money, houses, and stability. But that's not what she's talking about. What she truly wants is emotional security. She wants to know that when she breaks down, you won't. That when she lashes out, you won't crumble. That when the storm hits, you'll still be standing. A poor man with emotional control provides more security than a millionaire with emotional chaos. And that leads to the heart of everything: female loyalty. When a woman loves you, she's fiercely loyal. She'll defend you, forgive you, fight for you. But once that emotional switch flips, once her heart stops seeing you as her safe masculine center, it's over. There's no going back. You could become everything she once said she wanted. It won't matter. Her feelings have restructured, and that version of you no longer exists in her mind. And finally, here's the ultimate secret, the one that unites all of this chaos into clarity. Women want to surrender, but only to strength. That doesn't mean dominance or control. It means containment. She wants to know you can handle her emotional storms without drowning in them, that you can lead without oppression, that you can listen without collapsing. She tests you not to destroy you, but to measure you. Every test asks the same question: are you strong enough for me to relax? Most men fail because they either break, becoming overly emotional, pleading, chasing, or overcompensate, turning cold and controlling. Both extremes are weakness in disguise. The true strength is balance, calm power with open empathy, masculinity that doesn't need approval. Now look around at the modern dating world. Women have infinite options, infinite validation, infinite distractions. But that doesn't make them happier. It makes them anxious. The paradox of choice has created emotional paralysis. With too many options, they can't commit. With too much validation, they can't discern value. They're lost between empowerment and emptiness. And men, frustrated, angry, confused, either withdraw entirely or swing to resentment. But if you can stand still amid the noise, detached from desperation, rooted in understanding, you become rare. Not because you're better, but because you're centered. In the end, female psychology isn't a maze to escape. It's a landscape to observe. You can't control it, but you can learn to navigate it. And once you stop trying to change it, something incredible happens. You stop resenting women. You start seeing the beauty in their chaos, the rhythm in their emotion, the poetry in their contradictions. You realize that attraction, love, and polarity aren't puzzles to solve. They're energies to respect. And when you finally understand that, you stop playing the game for validation. You start living it with awareness. That's when the confusion ends and real connection begins. Thank you for watching.